I'm just on this emotional roller coaster where like last week I was like kind of I wasn't feeling good. Like I was feeling bad about society and about everything, but I was like, you know what? Okay. I'm a big boy. It's going to be a little bit unpleasant and at times, and some bad stuff's going to happen to people, but I can do this. And yesterday I was just like, I don't know if I can do this. We're going to do it. He's going to stand up there and do the hand, and the oligarchs are going to be with him, and Obama's going to be giggling, and we're just doing this.
Hello, everyone. This is JVL here with my best friends, Sarah Longwell and Tim Miller of the Bulwark. We are in the middle of confirmation palooza. Yesterday we had Pig.
That's quite the slip there.
Yeah. Yesterday we had Pete Hegseth. Jamie, I'll fix that. Yesterday we had Pete Hegseth. Today we have Pam Bondi out there in all of her Florida woman glory. Sarah,
don't fix it.
How's it going? What?
Don't fix it. That's great. No. Peg Hegseth. That's good. Keep it in there. That's good material.
Freudian slips are what they are. So I've been watching.
It's all coming up Milhouse for them, right? Like it's really everything's great.
What's Milhouse? Like this the Peanuts character?
Simpsons. It's a Simpsons reference when everything's coming up Milhouse. It's when never mind. It's all going well for them.
It is going well for them. I'll say I've been watching the Pam Bondi hearings all morning, and it would be an extraordinarily strong performance if one is willing to overlook the fact that she is lying about absolutely everything related to Donald Trump. Because here's the thing about Pam Bondi. She is qualified for this job on paper in a way that Pete Hegseth absolutely is not qualified to be the Secretary of Defense. Like, she is the Attorney General of a large state. She was the Attorney General of a large state. She has done, actually, I think a lot of work that many of the Democratic senators seem to admire. She's done a lot on fentanyl, a lot on human trafficking, a lot on the cartels. And so, like, you can hear in the course of the regular hearing that, you know, Amy Klobuchar doesn't hate her, but like what they're trying to get at, and I gotta say, I don't know if all of the people on this committee are former attorneys, but they are clearly considerably better than the folks on the last committee that Hegseth was in front of, which was Defense Armed Services. They were, I thought, not super strong questioners, whereas the Democrats here are much crisper and much better. And they are really going to the heart of, would you refuse sort of the interference from the White House? And Pam Bondi is doing this like, well, that's a hypothetical. Why would that ever happen? And as I left off, Chris Coons was sitting there being like, oh, because it just did. We had 4 years, and I got many colleagues. Bill Barr, little guy from Alabama who was the last AG, Pete Sessions. They'll all tell you how much the White House interfered with the job. And instead, and so she's like, well, I wouldn't have taken this job if I thought there would be any interference. And you're like, this is the part where you expect me to be an idiot. The part where you expect me to forget that the last 4 years has happened. She knows a lot about a lot of things, but she did not know, she had never listened to and did not know the full context of, could not give an opinion on Donald Trump's call to Brad Raffensperger in Georgia to find 11,700 votes.
Oh, yeah, she'd never heard that.
Can't say I've listened to it.
It's kind of a niche news story. You just might have missed it. You know,
it was
just
easy
one day
to miss.
Came and went.
No, I'm sorry. I do have a question. Did they, when she took her seat, was she under oath? Do they administer?
She was under oath. I noticed that too.
Oh, so she had sworn an oath to only tell the truth, and then she said that she'd never heard this thing.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that sounds like somebody who should be the chief law enforcement officer of the United States.
Yeah, so they try to pin her down on whether or not Joe Biden was the actual president. She did that slippery move that we now see as sort of an art form for people who are under oath, which is to say Joe Biden is the president. But I saw some things that really concerned me in Pennsylvania. In 2020, I made a video about this, and we pulled some clips of her when she was running.
She also said that there was
Trump.
a peaceful transfer of power.
She did say there was a peaceful transfer of power.
Was
I
there?
hear this argument all the time where Republicans say there was a
There was
I don't
a
think
transfer of power. It was not
there
peaceful.
Was. At what point? I mean, I guess like the day of
the
actual inauguration,
yeah,
right?
Like as long as there is not violence at noon on January 20th, then it's a peaceful transfer of power. Like you're only judging that 1 second, like the moment that the hand goes on the Bible. If there's no violence, then cool, then we're good.
But can we just point out
hood, baby.
Like the peaceful part didn't happen, but like the transfer part didn't happen either. Like he was refusing to transfer. Remember, there was like this whole point where he had somebody in there who was refusing to hand things over and was gumming the whole thing up. I can't remember her name, but so it's just you have to. It's like you have to like willingly suspend your disbelief, like in a movie, in order to take Pam Bondi seriously. But it looks like that's what they're going to do, because I will tell you, no matter what you think about Pam Bondi, she's not Matt Gaetz, which is how I think a lot of these guys feel.
Can I just, before we throw to you, Tim, it is kind of amazing to me that it turns out the only thing Republican senators are really going to make a stand on is if they personally hate the nominee. Right? That's the one truly unforgivable thing is, if you're a dick to them and they just don't like you inside the club, then they will not let you sit at their lunch table. Everything else they don't care about. Right? Like, because that was
no,
what
obviously
Matt Gaetz,
I did this
Matt
bit
Gaetz
during
right?
the Gaetz thing. Like there's no metric on which Gaetz is a worse nominee than Hegseth. Like, I guess, except for the fact that a 17-year-old, right? If you're drawing your line on the fact that he had sex with a 17-year-old and that is your line, sexual assault doesn't bother you. Multiple wives, multiple women, being a sex pest, that doesn't bother you. But if it's like, if you're just a one issue voter on did they have sex with somebody who is 17, okay, then I get that. Now, you would also have to be against Roy Moore then. And I think that if we did a check back and forth on the senators that supported Roy Moore and then were opposed to Matt, I think again this would reveal your point, right? Like that this was it. Like it was Matt Gaetz is a prick, right? Like that was really what this comes down to. It was not about any broader principle or caring about the Department of Justice or qualifications or anything like that. I got to tell you, the Bondi hearing's been tough for me to watch, and I'm obligated to watch it by contract with cable news and with you, our listeners. And so I'm doing it. But because of what Sarah laid out, this like requirement that we suspend disbelief, about her view of Donald Trump and what might happen, like it makes it very challenging, right? Because it's not the Hegseth thing. There was at least like, I would like to get to the bottom of some substantive things, Did you pass out at a party bus? No judgment. I passed out on a party bus one time, but would like to know if that happened. I wasn't on the job. It was a bachelor party. But, did you pass out on a party bus during work? Yes or no? That's one thing we'd like to know. Like, do you think the Ukraine or Russia is the bad guy in that war? Like, that is something that I'd like to know. Like, why were you fired from the only job you've ever running anything? Right? Like, there were some substantive things about his background. Like, that's not really the case about Bondi. Right? Like, again, like you said, there are a bunch of stuff I disagree with Pam Bondi on. Like, even when I was a Republican in good standing, she was always more of a Tea Party Republican type. Like, I was never a huge Pam Bondi fan. But, like, had Ron DeSanctimonious become the president, she would have been a totally reasonable person to be attorney general that I would have disagreed with on a range of issues, right? The issue with her is just simply her judgment with regards to Donald Trump, which she showed to be horrific during 2020 when she was standing next to Rudy Giuliani, during the Four Seasons total landscaping thing. And I think that's a pretty good preview into what she might do in the next 4 years, and that's disqualifying in its own right. I mean, I think as Liz Cheney put in her statement about the Jack Smith report, she was just like, the Senate has to review nominees for the Department of Justice. If you went along with the coup, you are disqualified. That's the abbreviated version of Liz's statement on this. So I agree with that. And so like this whole thing feels a little, it's just frustrating. It's like a farce. You know what I mean? Like the Republicans aren't gonna say no on those grounds. There aren't any other grounds to to really. There aren't any other threads to pull really, and Pam Bondi's going to lie to our face about it, and so like kind of that's where we're at.
This is the kabuki aspect of politics, and I had thought that one of the few silver linings of Trumpism was that it made it so that we didn't have to do kabuki anymore. You know, like, oh, everybody's mask is just off. Okay, we can all say the things now. And now we get the worst of both worlds. We get the authoritarians and the kabuki stuff where we have this show hearing and, you know, everybody pretends that Pam Bondi is totally normal and above board, except for these few things where she sits here and commits perjury on. Right. And she's going to perjure herself. And then we're not going to make her like Undersecretary of the Interior. We're going to make her Attorney General of the United States. Cool. And nobody's up here is going to say, ma'am, you just perjured yourself and you want to be the chief executor of the law. Not chief executor of laws. That's the president. And you want to be the chief law enforcement officer of the United States? What the fuck are you talking about? No, we wouldn't say that. Wouldn't dare say that.
I'm not sure she's perjuring herself. I think she's...
To say that she'd never heard that thing from Trump? Like that would have to be perjury.
She said she'd never heard the hour-long exchange, and she was only vaguely familiar with the quote. Like she knew it was a story, but didn't know anything about it. So yeah, I mean, here's the thing about Pam Bondi that I'm most concerned about, which is, and she's getting some questions to this effect, and she's slipping through them, and this is where, like, you know, she's lying. And it's on, she's going to be Kash Patel's boss, right? She oversees the FBI. And so some of the senators are sort of asking her if she'll maintain her independence from the White House and what she'll do about Kash Patel. And she was like, well, I think he'll faithfully execute the law as well. And like that kind of stuff, I don't know. It's just, and the Democrats on the committee, and this is where the kabuki meets calibration, right? Which is these senators are thinking, well, I got to take a stand on these other places. Like Pam Bondi's not the hill I'm going to die on. Like I'm going to try to die on Kash Patel. And as a result, Pam Bondi gives the whole thing a patina or a sheen of respectability. And she'll probably get some Democratic votes. Like some of the Democrats will probably on this committee will probably vote for her because they want to reserve the places where they're going to vote against other people. And what that does is it creates this element of like, it should be disqualifying what she said about Donald Trump in 2020. That should be it. It would, in a normal world, it would be disqualifying. But the problem is when everybody is disqualified on that count, there becomes like no mechanism for accountability. And this is where whenever people accuse us, they're like, you guys went from anti-Trump to anti-all Republicans. And at some point, that's because Trump had disgraced and or revealed the disgraceful behavior of these Republicans. And so like, yes, I can't support now a bunch of people who might otherwise be qualified because they have betrayed. Like, we know she will not resist Donald Trump's interference. We know she will not abide by the law. She showed us. But we have to pretend like she's a respectable one because she's so much less bad than so many of the other people. A
couple of just things to put a finer point on. You know, she was the right-hand woman in Pennsylvania for Rudy Giuliani, who has been convicted by a court of law for defaming. He has been disbarred. He is, you know, not paying Ruby and Shay Moss right now what they have earned from a court of law, from a jury of his peers, right? And so did she say the exact same words he did? No, but like she went along with it. Like if the question is, will you go along with stuff? Yeah, she will. We know she will go along with it. She went along with all of Rudy's lies, you know, and didn't object, didn't say, okay, well, no, this is too much for me, guys. Sorry, I'll testify to Congress over something. I'm not going to go around with Rudy like while he spreads this obvious nonsense. No, she did. She went around with him. So on that, like we know already, and I think you really had a little light bulb when you were talking about like the patina of credibility, Sarah, because that's what really bugs me. Yeah. Actually, that's the part that gets me about watching this. What makes me not like it. I wish the Republicans would just like put on the clown makeup just do it. Just like put on the clown makeup and be like, yeah, Pete Hegseth's not qualified. What you gonna do about it? Donald Trump likes watching him on TV. That's why he's been nominated. And Donald Trump won, and so suck on a lemon. I would have some respect for that, because that is the truth, right, of this, is that they think that because Donald Trump won, he can do whatever he wants and everybody else can suck on a lemon. It doesn't matter whether it was a weekend TV show co-host, who was allegedly half in the bag doing his show. And now he's going to be running the Defense Department. Like, they have to come up with this, like, well, he was a warrior, he was a leader of men, he understands, what kind of bullets go in what kind of guns. And like, that's the real thing that you need if you're going to be Secretary of Defense. And then here with Pam Bondi, it's like, she is somebody that is going to not politicize the Justice Department. She's going to hold the line. And Donald Trump would never. I wouldn't take this job if I thought Donald Trump was going to ask me to do something unlawfully. That's a ridiculous request. Just stop. Just be like, yeah, we know Donald Trump pressured his last two attorney generals to do something illegally, and they eventually folded. I'm not going to fold. Vote against me. Vote for me. Do whatever you want. Like, obviously, they're not going to do that because they need to maintain credibility. But like, that's the frustrating part about all this. The charade.
Yeah, hold on. There's a little bit more about the charade. I just want to talk about. And actually, though, I do have just one point, that Donald Trump does understand something that I can't get over. Watching both Pete Hegseth and Pam Bondi and the pictures of them and the way that they look on TV, Pete Hegseth, I find him repellent as I find Donald Trump repellent. But like, he looks great. He looks great on TV. Pam Bondi looks great. She's got her cross right there, just the shirt unbuttoned, just to make sure you can get that cross in view. And so Donald Trump just has a knack for this. Like, these are going to be televised. And so that's one part of it. The second part is the Republicans, and I suspect, Tim, this might be another reason that it's really hard to sit through these hearings. The Republicans are using them effectively as communications tools to reinforce things that they've been saying the whole time. Sitting through this just now, we were treated to Chuck Grassley's introduction. And Chuck Grassley, once again, age limits, guys. We got to have age limits for when people serve. He is mumbling through a bunch of things about, how the FBI is spying on people, about the fake dossier. Like, he was using it, and Mike Lee is using it. They're all using it to re-emphasize this belief that they have that Joe Biden, the last 4 years under Joe Biden, have been a complete and total weaponization of the Justice Department to create lawfare against Donald Trump. And they are all doing this right now. And and she's engaging in that, right? She's happy to do it and say, yes, I won't weaponize it the way you guys have weaponized it. And again, it requires you having no understanding of the fact that, like, Biden's DOJ both searched his own properties for documents and prosecuted his son. They didn't get there
and appointed
on
an
Donald
independent
Trump.
counsel, and then released the report from the independent counsel. Right?
Who slammed Biden rightly, by the way. Quick aside, independent counsel, they released that report, and he was extremely harsh and deserved on the Biden.
And extremely correct, ultimately.
Extremely correct, yeah. I have one nitpick with your point, Sarah.
Okay.
I mean, Pete Hegseth looks the part of like an SEC network halftime show host who's familiar with Rohypnol. I don't know if he like really looks the part of Secretary of Defense for me. He does for you
in a movie,
in
a Michael Bay movie.
No. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, you're misunderstanding my point. My point is they're made for TV. They're made for people. You know, one of the things about Hegseth that was really is the way he laughed the whole way through. Like, he was nervous at first, and then once the hecklers came in, he like found his mojo and squared up and was like, I'm going to smirk the whole way through this, and I'm going to shake my head. I'm going to interrupt. Like, they've been incredibly combative. He was incredibly combative.
Yeah.
And so they are TV ready is my point. I'm not saying he looks the part in our old conception of like the Jim Mattis in uniform, which, by the way, dust on your boots, Hegseth, you're the only one who's gotten dust on your boots. The people who have served in that role before you were generals, or other people who have seen plenty of time and served in uniform. It was very gross for him to act like he's the only person who's, actually served.
Maybe
But anyway,
it was angel
that's it.
dust on his boots. He's talking
Is
about
that cocaine?
the other ones. That's actually
I don't know all
really
my drugs.
outdated drug reference. Nobody even does angel dust anymore.
Yeah, I
That's
was
from
going
the
to say
80s.
that's the 70s. Those are from 70s cop
Yeah, it's
movies.
a 70s drug. It just came to me. I just thought it'd be funny. That's all.
Harvey, he was on angel dust. Ready to optimize your nutrition this year? Factor has chef-made gourmet meals that make eating well easy. They're dietitian approved and ready to heat and eat in 2 minutes, so you can fuel right and feel great no matter what life throws at you. With 40 options across 8 dietary preferences on the menu each week, it's easy to pick meals tailored to your goals. Choose from preferences like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, or Keto. Factor can help you feel your best all day long with wholesome smoothies, breakfasts, grab-and-go snacks, and more add-ons. Reach your goal this year with ingredients you can trust and convenience that can't be beat. The Factor stuff is super easy. I love it. All of the kids at the office love it. True, Sarah?
True. That's all. They just get their deliveries. This Factor just keeps coming out here.
The Bulwark office fridge, just stuffed full of Factor. Eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/thenextlevel50off and use code thenextlevel50off to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code thenextlevel50off at factormeals.com/thenextlevel50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. All right. So speaking of Kabuki Theater, we got word yesterday that Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos will be at the inauguration in a special little box, I guess, with the other cabinet so, appointees, because it's like they're in the cabinet. I don't
And
know.
Musk. You didn't mention Musk.
Obviously, Musk will be there.
Yeah.
I assume
And
Musk will be up.
Bezos.
Yeah, he said Bezos. You didn't recognize it because he pronounces it Bezos, like he's a beekeeper.
I'm
But yeah, he is also there.
Lord
Beelzebub.
Bezos. Lord Bezos. I don't know. I feel like it might be more effective if Zuckerberg and Bezos were in a glass cube suspended so that the MAGAites could throw tomatoes at them and stuff, and they could sit there and fully confess to their shame for having been against MAGA, because we could make this a real struggle session for them. But I guess they get to skip the struggle session part, just go right to the candy, which is nice, I guess. I mean, as authoritarian movements go, this is better than the Maoists.
Yeah, there's something about Zuckerberg that I keep meaning to say to you guys, which is like, do you have Facebook accounts anymore? Are you on Facebook?
I have a Facebook account. I'm on Instagram. Tyler came in this morning after learning that Zuckerberg was doing a fundraiser with the Adelsons in addition to being in the cabinet box. Tyler came in this morning. He's like, I'm deleting my Facebook page once I figure out how to download the photos from when I was a twink.
Yeah.
And then he also asked me to bring up on the podcast that Mr. Masculinity Mark Zuckerberg has had some real work done recently, and nobody seems to want to mention that. Nothing wrong with getting some work done, but it might just be a little bit out of step with, Joe Rogan doesn't look like he's had any work done. If you're trying to be the real man's man in the MMA
What's a
arena,
twink?
Skinny, younger guy, like from when you're skinny.
Tyler's pretty buffed up, man.
He's buffed up now. I know.
Yeah, no.
He was like 112 pounds when I
He's
found
going to
him.
really like this extended conversation on his physique.
He's going to love
Oh,
it. Yeah.
I know.
Anyway,
I'm not
are you
being sarcastic. I know he's going to like
Tyler
it.
Anyway,
looks
yeah,
fantastic.
he does. We have Facebook. Still, he's going to delete his though. But Instagram, it's Instagram too. And what's
I
My point
own
is
a
just that Facebook's a
Facebook
cesspool.
page, which I have never used, never once, because I was always
Yeah.
I was anti-Facebook back when everybody thought Facebook was great, and I've always
Yeah.
it's a cancer on
Sure you were.
society.
Yeah, that sounds right. Sounds
Right?
Yeah, shocking.
Yeah. Same thing. So I claimed a page, and I claimed a page on Instagram also, basically just to prevent people from impersonating me, and never used them because they were both horrible. But I guess I'm.
Sarah, you're trying to make a
little bit
point
of
though. You're
Sorry,
trying to
go
make a
ahead.
point though. When we
I was just trying to make a point about I forgot about Instagram that actually Zuckerberg does own. I was going to say the platform that he owns, Facebook, is a completely degenerating asset.
Yes.
It used to be. I am nostalgic now. It's funny that much of my nostalgia is around platforms. Is like I want all of these platforms to be what they were like 10 years ago, where if you were scrolling through Facebook, you just saw pictures of your friends and people you were friends with, and maybe you could join some groups. It was before it started like sending people to ISIS, whatever. But like now, when I'm on Facebook, it's no pictures of my friends. It's just ads for middle-aged women stuff and a lot of perimenopause. Like, it's just like all they know about me is that I'm a 45-year-old woman. And they're just like, here's stuff for 45-year-old. Here's collagen, like whatever you take for your hormones. That's all it does. That's all it feeds me. So it's just a cesspool of nothingness and algorithms that direct you in these insane ways. And so like, but I forgot the Instagram.
The ads aren't even good on Facebook. I just pulled up mine just to see. Here's my Facebook feed right now. Someone died. That's sad. Then Dwight Yoakam. Why would I care about Dwight Yoakam? I don't know. It thinks I might. Crazy luxury homes. Don't have the money for that. Then a story that a Washington Post story, and I can't find a picture of it. There we go. I found a picture of my cousin's children. So that's nice. If you just keep on scrolling.
Yay! If you scroll long enough. But I mean, look, Facebook's a big company. Facebook itself is a depreciating platform in America, but it still has a very large global footprint. He owns WhatsApp, which is a very big deal. Instagram, which is a fairly big deal. I mean, they own the metaverse. I don't know if you guys remember, but as of 18 months ago, we were all going to live our lives fully in the metaverse, and Mark Zuckerberg is such a
Are we in the metaverse? Tell me we're in the metaverse right now, possible. And I can get out of here.
If only. But remember, he renamed his entire company after the metaverse because he was trying. And now, like, literally crickets. Nobody talks about it anymore. So, I mean,
maybe
the
he thinks
idea
if he can get Donald Trump into the metaverse, all the MAGA people will go there.
Yeah, I don't think so. I'll give you one glass half full. I bet Zuckerberg really wants Trump to get rid of TikTok because TikTok is eating Facebook. And so that would be a good thing. Like there's a moment where Zuckerberg's interests line up with the interest of actual America.
By accident.
I don't know. I mean, are you guys, what are you, I mean, the show trial aspect of these guys showing up to the inauguration, does that bother you guys as much as me, or am I the crazy person?
It bothers me because it feels not like America. Like, maybe it was right? America in like the 1880s or something, but it does feel like it's like the Putin thing, and I've got my oil barons to my right, and I've got the finance people over here to my left, and I've got the oligarchic nature. I don't like it. Like it was that we are a representative democracy. We call you Mr. President for a reason. Like I bought into that kind of BS, and I like the Americana that highlights the everyman nature of our representative democracy. I don't like the richest people in the world being up there. I don't actually know. I think Donald Trump might be playing them, so I don't really know like how much Zuckerberg and Bezos are going to get out of this. I think Musk is going to get quite a bit out of it because he'll be able to make sure to punish his government contracting foes and people that criticize him from the inside. Whether Zuckerberg and them do, I think that Zuckerberg and Bezos, I think the Charlie Wurzel theory really is kind of borne out. I think that they really have been kind of red-pilled and they didn't like criticism. And I don't know. I saw a tweet yesterday from somebody that was like, say what you want about oil executives, but at least they weren't so sensitive about people saying mean things about them. You know what I mean? So like any of these oil executives are like, you know what? I got to go suck up to Donald Trump because I'm so mad that people are complaining about me on the internet. Like these guys at least had the courage of their convictions, They're like, I'm going to have a big ass car and a big ass ranch in Texas, and I'm going to live my life like I please. I'm not going to be so damn sensitive.
Yeah. Can you guys tell me a little bit about your thoughts on that Financial Times piece yesterday with the banker who, the anonymous banker who wouldn't let his name be used, talking about how great it was that he can now, I guess you'll have to bleep me, Jamie, I don't know, but that he was now safe to use the words retard and pussy, and that he was liberated. He was free. He wouldn't have to be canceled anymore.
Not so free to put his name on it.
But, and, if you're the kind of banker who gets interviewed by the Financial Times, Is there any way in which you are not liberated? Because it seems like you probably have an amazing life.
Yeah, but there are women and or people of color, and you have to meet with HR when you say the R word or the P word, and you have to go through a training session online about the things that you can't say, and it's annoying. And that's why. That's how you get red
But you
pilled.
can say those things. You just make different choices with your life, right?
Yeah. Well,
Like
what
you
I
could
like
go
is
and become an influencer and say those things all the time. Again, these are all just choices. It's not like there isn't an actual star chamber that you get put into.
I don't know. I think that there's truth to the idea that stuff that you used to get tisked about, people now feel like they're on offense with that, where they can be like, sorry, this is Donald Trump's America. I can say Merry Christmas and call you a faggot. Like, this is, yes, I'm living the dream.
We're back. America's back, baby.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, this whole thing. Look, I think that a lot of HR stuff is stupid. I always preface
100%.
all this, right? Like, if you are going to say that the Democrats are going to be the party of the stupidest HR training that you have to do, that I think that's a loser. I think that's a losing bet for the Democrats politically. I think most people find this stuff pretty dumb. But also, it's just like the victimization complex is the thing that I just can't get. I just don't relate to. Like, I don't. I think that this guy can probably go have a golfing foursome with 3 of his buddies and say the R word as much as he wants. I think that. So I don't even think he has to make different choices for his life. I think that it's like, you do have to mind your P's and Q's sometimes around a mixed group in the office. And like, that's just called like being considerate. Like, that's not stifling your free speech. It's just like being basically considerate about the feelings of other people. And so this notion that now, like, the country, everyone is unleashed to not care about everybody else's feelings, I just don't think that country is going to turn out as good as you think for you, and it's like and it's only the only people whose feelings matter in this situation are the ones that like want to be able to say this stuff, right? It's like the whole thing is a flip. Like, Mark Zuckerberg's mad because his feelings are hurt. The people are mean to him. That now he wants to be able to be mean to other people and not care about it. The whole thing is a farce. I don't. Tyler texted me a story this morning. A lot of Tyler on this podcast.
Tyler, who's really in great shape.
He's in great shape. What's up? I just want to pull this up because I want to get this right. It's a Washington Blade story. DC police demoted gay captain for taking parental leave, according to a lawsuit. Department accused of engaging in effort to harass and retaliate. I don't know all the details of this story exactly, but there are people that get discriminated against still. I know that maybe that's not okay thing to say in Donald Trump's America, but the instinct to want to protect people who are vulnerable and who are targeted by bosses is a good instinct, and it's one that I would think that the working man's party would want to care about. If you care about protecting working people, you might want to protect them from capricious asshole bosses that, I guess, demote them if they want to spend time with their child. If you're like a pro-family, pro-worker party, that seems like something you'd be against. But like that, all of that stuff is now just kind of washed away. And I don't know. I think that eventually, I do think eventually there will be a backlash against it. I think that there'll be a backlash against the backlash.
I think that's true. And I just, when I was thinking about this banker, I was thinking about like the 26-year-old woman who works there, who's thinking about how she advances in that company. And that, I mean, I don't know how old that guy is or whatever, but that 45-year-old, more senior guy walks around calling people pussies. And like, this is the thing is the reason that Republicans, and you heard this during the Hegseth hearing over and over again, lean so much on DEI and some of this stuff is because Americans experience this, right? It is a lived experience, part of their life. They work in any corporation, they're going through these sensitivity trainings, and it gets really annoying and it feels too far. And we did one recently, and like, they're so like fake and contrived too. It's like nobody talks like this. Nobody engages in these
like
ways.
A child.
Yeah, like humans don't know how to interact with each other ever. And like, so there's that part, which is like too far. And I think what people rebel against, but then there's also the part where you're like, sure, but if I had been in a company and like all the men constantly called each other pussies and whatever, I would probably be like, well, I don't know that this is true because I think I have been in these environments plenty and I'm not sure, but like, not everybody's me. And I think that it's like, you shouldn't, like, there are decorum. It's like decorum is a part of work, and like treating each other respectfully is a part of work. And it's like, there's always something in here where it's like, we should treat each other decently. Then there's the part where it's like, and we should make treating each other decently part of like a fixed program that you have to sit and go through. And somewhere in there is a good, decent way to be.
The scale of the inconvenience does seem to matter, right? I mean, because we are talking about a thing which is what, like 4 hours a year for people on average.
Feels
most,
long.
right?
I got to tell you, I
And
sat through a 1 hour training recently, and it felt like 8. I mean,
things-
so 8 times 4 is 32. All of a sudden, that's a lot of hours you're doing.
No, okay. Well, then I'll defer my point.
You can defend it. Do you want to? You do want to defend?
I don't want to defend
the,
it. What I want to say is like life is full
sense
of inconveniences.
Sure.
I'm not just like, and so if you live in I feel like Walter Sobchak. We live in a society, dude. If you live in a society, in order to make the society function, there are things you have to do which are inconveniences. For instance, you have to get your car inspected every year or every 2 years. Why do you have to get your car inspected? It seems silly, right? You have a car. Your car shouldn't need to be inspected. What is this, Russia?
I hate getting my car inspected.
I'm sure you do, but why do we have to do that? Because
why
you
do
got to
we have
ensure
to do it?
some
Tell me.
minimal standards for safety, so that like the cars on the road have brakes which function, that they have headlights which are functioning. So
That's
that
not
they
even what
don't
happens.
cause-
Now I go to some machine and like plug it in for a second, and it tells me.
They do all sorts of things, right? They've got like 19 things that they're checking on, and that's the point of car inspections. And because net you're able to ensure some minimal standards of safety for the vehicles which are on the road.
We
And
had
it's
2
annoying
buildings
and it
collapse in New
sucks.
Orleans recently, so we could probably upgrade the building inspections. I'm sure the developers don't love building inspections,
Right.
but
I mean, these are just things that, like, I am sorry. The idea that people think that they should never be inconvenienced ever is the most snowflakey modern thing, and I don't understand it. Like, oh, you have to do something you don't love doing? Welcome to life, you fucker. Like, this is life. We all have to do things we don't like to do all the time.
Yeah, I think
Every
that's
day.
I mean, I'm
not
sorry.
Donald Trump's America.
I guess that's right. Right. But I want to go back to the inauguration because one person of note is not going to be there. Michelle Obama.
Who's that? Me? Oh, also Michelle.
Michelle Obama. She knows what time
it is.
And
Jinx.
I am so happy that that Michelle Obama and Karen Pence have the moral clarity that the rest of this country's elites seem to lack. Slow clap for Michelle Obama. I would stand up. I mean,
Oh,
Thank
Sarah,
you.
are you taking the other side of this? I don't like your body language. You think Michelle Obama should have to go sit through this fucking farce?
No, I don't. It's that I'm not sure that the reason that Michelle Obama's not going is out of this. I'm not. She's taking a stand, but I think what's happening here, the Obamas have a PR team. That
don't
PR
break this
team-
for me. You're going to
the
break
PR
this one
team-
moment for me.
Yeah, I am. The Obama's PR team is grappling with a real problem that comes from Jimmy Carter's funeral, where former President Barack Obama was seen being very chummy with Donald Trump, which gave the right a day's worth of, oh, are we just laughing with Hitler now? And there is something.
Just the
and
right gave me that feeling too.
Yeah, I know, right? Gave me that feeling too. So, well, I'm saying the right was chuffed about it. The left, I think, and the anybody in the sort of pro-democracy, anti-Trump crowd is thinking, why are you normalizing this guy? Like, it's just funny to sit and talk to him. And I do think this is where the Joe Scarborough going to see him, like when the rhetoric does not match the actions, what it creates for people is a sense that it's all just a joke, that it's all kabuki theater. This is why Zuckerberg going to the inauguration after Meta was the first group to kick Donald Trump off of a major social media platform. They banned Trump after 2020 because it was such a threat.
They did it because he was using their platform
to spread a lie.
To spread the lie, but also to organize the rally that culminated on January 6th.
That's right.
So like, and this is, by the way, I just want to, Tim, you'll have to Google this for me or I will. But it is the case that, we've had human rights reports in other countries. People have used Facebook to organize genocides, like actual ethnic cleansing and murders of their friends and neighbors. So this is a very real problem that Facebook was not just dealing with for the first time. Sorry, continue.
Yeah.
I just want to highlight this.
No,
Facebook is evil.
and I mean, I could go on and on for the Facebook thing forever. I'll just say also, all the things that now he's saying that the Biden administration were bullying him into doing, was happening on the platform in 2020 when Donald Trump was president. This is all just, I think Tommy Vitor said this, like it's like he wakes up like he was a baby who was just born, who now assesses things he doesn't like about the current platform and the environment and speaks about them as if they are all external fault, and he just came out of his mother's womb. It's like he was there, he's been running the company. So anyway,
but Sarah, you were going to destroy the Michelle
funny.
Obama thing for me.
No. Can I just say about the Michelle Obama thing, and then we'll get to Sarah, and then I'll get her. Is I don't know if it's PR, if it's her, if she's doing a stand. I don't really care. I think that my issue is that the fact that we can single her and Karen Pence out is because there's so few other people that are just showing even a modicum of resistance to this. Like, we do not know what the worst case scenario is. Maybe it'll be Mussolini. Maybe it won't. Maybe it'll be a clown show and he'll just go golfing and go on his planes. We all know this. We don't have a crystal ball. But it's like the most powerful people in the world have all decided that they need to genuflect to this man who's shown horrific judgment. Absolutely unimaginably horrific judgment. The type of judgment that if you had told these people in a vacuum that they would be going along with this, they would tell you you're insane. They tell you you're insane that they would go and bring frankincense and myrrh to somebody that had sicked a mob on the Capitol. They would tell you that you were crazy. And yet across all the businesses, do you see the Caputo story this morning? Our spurned lover, about how he's raised $500 million or something like that. $500 million for the inauguration, and for a third election that's not going to happen. Why? These people are so. This goes back to your point, JVL, about how you should be rich so that you don't have to do this.
That's
so you don't have to
being rich.
Isn't that that's the phrase "fuck you" money? Isn't the point of having "fuck you" money that you can say "fuck you" to people? Nobody's saying "fuck you" to this guy. It's just across industry, across politics, across these hearings that we're talking about, Barack Obama, they're all just saying, I'm going along with this. And I don't get it. I don't get it. He can't come after everybody. If you run Goldman Sachs, you can go give him money later. Donald Trump's also an easy mark. If he comes for you in 6 months, you can go butter him up then. If the fate of Goldman Sachs rests on whatever Donald Trump does, it's Scotty Bessent does as the Treasury Secretary. I just don't buy any of that. Many of these people are in no threat at all. The people that Adrian Carrasquillo wrote about in the newsletter today, the immigrants who might get deported, those people are in real threat. And people that are no threat at all are just sucking up to him for what? For nothing. Just so they can go to an inaugural ball?
That's not why.
CYA?
No, it's like when you're a Catholic and you can buy indulgences.
They don't let us do that anymore. I tried.
Yeah. You tried.
You could use a few.
You don't even know.
Or no, actually, sorry. That's the Catholic one isn't right. It's more it's like the guys that walk around with the envelopes for the mob's boss. And they go to all the stores in the town and say, hey, you wouldn't want anything to happen to this place. And all you got to do, we're here to protect you. and we'll protect you, and you just got to give us a little bit of money. That's what it is, right? This is protection money. Everybody's buying, and this is what they're not saying. So I have two thoughts on the wealth. One is they're using their wealth to insulate them because they know he's an easy mark. And so they're like, okay, we're going to get ourselves on the good people's list because they're probably going to throw that into some Excel spreadsheet and be like, do not target. They all gave us their money. They're up on their, what's it called? What's it called when you pay the protection money? Is it just called protection money? Whatever. They're up on it. They're good. They don't know anything. That's one piece. The second piece is, and this is where, I'm a capitalist. We've talked about this a lot.
Same.
I'm a capitalist. But
Waning,
at some point, right, when you hit some of the elements of late stage capitalism, though, are the things that I do get alarmed by. And one of them is the billionaires and soon to be trillionaire class who think they need more, right? Like Bezos is doing it because he has things he wants to do. Right. And he needs the government's support for that. And Elon needs the government support for the things he wants to do. And it's not enough. It's not enough for them. They need more, and they gotta, colonize Mars or whatever. And to do that, they need Donald Trump. And so they're putting money in. That's what it's about.
I guess. I just think that
why
most
is
of these
Barack
people
Obama
are
palling around with him, though.
I think palling around versus got sat next to him at a funeral and chose to make it like a pleasant exchange versus to sit there isolate. Now, I think that's wrong. I think as a former president, you should have a higher threshold for uncomfortable situations and be able to sit next to Donald Trump and be like, you do not get my attention. You don't. I was really, I hated seeing Barack Obama do
bad.
Anything short of nod to be like, yep. Mm-hmm. But he's not palling around with him, but it was really gross.
And part of the reason why none of this stuff happened in 2016 and the resistance and the pink pussy hats and all that gets a bad rip these days. There's a little eye rolly treatment anytime that comes up. But there was, going back to JVL about how we live in a society, there was a moment where I think some of these rich guys, some of the types of people that go to these sorts of inaugurations, he got elected in 2016. They're like, man, I don't know how this is going to look to my kids or to my pals or like whatever. Like there'd be somebody in my social circle that might judge me because of this. So I'm just going to keep an arm's length. We'll see how this all shakes out. My daughter's going to go to the women's march, and I might post a little thing on my Facebook about how proud I am of her, and then we'll kind of see how everything shakes out. And if I got to give this guy money, right? I just think that was the attitude in 2017, and it's pretty depressing that like that is switched. I'm not even asking for the pink
after
pussy
the
march.
coup.
Yeah, after the coup.
After the
coup, that people
That's
are now
the
like,
craziest thing of this.
Yeah.
The embrace of Trump is so much warmer and more all-encompassing post-coup than it was in 2016 even, when you could have maybe talked yourself into believing maybe he'll grow in office, maybe it won't be that bad.
Yeah, but now they know how far he's willing to go.
Ding, ding,
and they
ding.
know that nobody's going to constrain him.
And I think some of their kids are red-pilled. I don't know. I think that the teens, the college kids that are like, Dad... You can't go to that fundraiser. I think some of them are like, Dad, can I come? Put on a MAGA hat.
Is Mrs. Zuckerberg, Mrs. Dr. Zuckerberg?
I haven't seen her anywhere.
Is she on the invite list? Because isn't Zuckerberg hosting one of the inaugural balls?
Is her name Priscilla Chan, I believe?
Yeah, I believe so. I believe her name is not on the invite.
Guys, I got to tell you, I mean, the Mark Zuckerberg thing is wild, not just because Facebook banned Trump. But in those years, remember for the 2020 election, Mark Zuckerberg, there was a whole controversy about the Zuck bucks that went into the election. Like Zuckerberg's, their foundation has been funding, I think she's pretty involved in this. And they did tons of election access, other things. And so like to the extent, like it is a switch teams from Team Democracy to Team Red Pill. Like it is a very big shift from what they were doing.
Are any of those people quitting, by the way? That's another thing. Just go to the social element of it. The foundation, have they just shut down the foundation? I don't know. I guess I should actually do research on this before I start popping off. But right, I mean, they were putting lots of, it wasn't just democracy stuff. They were doing lots of other charitable things. Maybe they're just not, maybe that's just a no.
Who can say? Who can say? Well, all right. So again, I had said this to you guys in Slack. It's good that we can say pussy now because I wanted to talk about Chris Wray, who went on 60 Minutes to talk about why
Smooth transition.
Yeah, you like that? That's why I'm a pro.
So I'm sorry, just to be
Go
clear,
ahead.
what is why is he a pussy? What does pussy mean to you?
Ooh.
Boy, I mean, so many things. So many things.
But I think
means
it
You
means
don't
facts.
answer hypotheticals.
But I mean,
I can't answer a
think
hypothetical.
I think in this context, what you mean is that somebody who is weak-willed and proving themselves to not be up to the task automatically codes female genitalia.
I guess. In the same way that when we call somebody a dick, it means that somebody who is a real jerk off who you hate codes to male genitalia, because we have these expressions which have been around in human language for thousands of years, and we don't get
I don't
too
know about
upset about them.
thousands.
I'm pretty sure thousands. Like, these things go back a ways. I'm
Well,
just
balls
saying.
are pretty weak too, so we can call them a
Balls
scrotum.
balls is used as a sign of strength. Somebody either has or does not have balls.
Yeah, we should call them a scrotum. What's that?
Anyway,
Scrotum, right?
the point is, in order to preserve and protect the FBI, he had to willingly resign his post so that Trump wouldn't have to fire him, and it could be a smoother transition to handle all the levers of power to Kash Patel, who says that Christopher Wray should be jailed. Do I have that right?
Mm-hmm. He didn't want to
Okay.
thrust the Bureau into additional controversy. Is what he said to 60 Minutes. Did not want to thrust the Bureau even more into the political fray.
No wonder we keep losing.
Yeah.
Sarah?
Yeah, so this is where I think, JBL, you and I often, again, things being on sort of a spectrum, where I don't think you need to answer Donald Trump's demagoguery with more demagoguery. I don't think you fight fire with fire. But I also think that this sense of, because I can understand, I think, Chris Wray has a perspective very different from us. Like, he has an internal, right? He knows a lot of people he's trying to protect in this moment. He, because actually I think he's probably a decent human, is thinking about the institution. And I
That's
think
what I meant when I said pussy, because when I think of female genitalia, I think of decent humans.
Sure.
Sorry.
Protecting institutions.
That is, I'm sure where it was going. I do think, though, that it's when you say like Michelle Obama knows what time it is. I do think that people, and I'm watching this happen in the hearings as well. People don't seem, it's like Joe Biden was like this. It's like the rhetoric of where we are and how dangerous everything is does not match people's actions and how they're prepared to deal with it in the moment. Again, I don't think fire with fire is the right way to do it. I don't think demagogue for demagogue, but I do think Chris Wray standing up and saying, I'm going to use my remaining time to explain why this politicization of the Federal Bureau of Investigations is an attack on the United States, why Kash Patel is unfit, and I'm going to make that case, and then I'm going to let him fire me. You'd just like to see some people do some things like that, right? You don't have to, I'm not saying betray your oath. I'm not saying do anything, crazy, but like tell people. And the thing is that Wray thinks that restrained 60 Minutes interview that he gave is doing it. He thinks that's it. Yep. And it's not. Call a press conference and talk about your grave concerns. Anyway.
So Sarah, I think you've got me a little bit wrong here. I am not calling for demagoguery. What I am calling for is doing things that are legal and pushing everything to the legal limits. And so the legal limit here would be Chris Wray staying in his job and making the new president fire him.
Yeah, and I don't like this because I think norms and
spectacle. Yeah. Right? I'm like why am I being fired? Shouldn't we hold a bunch of press conferences, right? I think Joe Biden should release the second part of the Jack Smith report, because that would be an official act, and the Supreme Court has deemed that would be a legal thing for the president of the United States to do. It's legal now. So you should do the things that are legal. That's where I am. But I don't know. Maybe
I think there's a difference between something being legal and you having immunity from prosecution. I mean, you're right that it makes it sort of not illegal when the president does it, in Nixon's immortal words. Like, they have made that true. I just think the norms and values part still matters some, and that we shouldn't burn them all to the ground. That we won't like what's left when that happens.
Sure. My answer is I think that within norms and values, Chris Wray could have done a
Same.
lot of stuff
Me too.
that he's not doing.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Including testifying, raising flags, going to meet with various senators, and say, hey, here are things that we know, here are threats that we're concerned about. I just to just be I'm not going to be in the political fray. You're in it, baby. You're
Kash
in
Patel
it. It's
says that you should be in jail.
Yeah.
I just don't understand. How is the Senate going to confirm an FBI director who says that the sitting FBI director, who these senators confirmed, should be in jail? Because that would be direct contravention. Shouldn't the Senate have exercised oversight and removed Christopher Wray? Right?
You have to take him seriously, but not literally. He's not literally going to put Chris Wray in jail. He just is very serious about potentially putting people in jail.
Isn't law enforcement the one realm of American life in which you cannot hide behind seriously, not literally? Because the entire legal system is built around the literal meaning of words.
I don't have a good answer to that question. Let's maybe want something for Brad Todd.
I don't know.
We have another. I set up my piece about Chris Wray with Crystal on Monday. People can listen to that. There's a deal for the hostages. Donald Trump has sent out an all caps bleat about it. Where he says we have a deal for the hostages. So, Israel.
The Israeli hostages that Hamas is holding.
Yeah.
Is he? I'm sorry. When he says we, I got to tell you,
who's we there?
Yeah, constitutionally, there's only one president at a time. Joe Biden is still the president, so there's no way that Donald Trump can be negotiating a hostage release.
Yeah. Well, we've got here. This is John Hudson. He's a good reporter. He covers diplomacy for the Washington Post. He writes, Donald Trump has announced the hostage deal, and then writes, also hearing per a senior U.S. official, current U.S. official, Gaza hostage and ceasefire deal reached. Anyway, I'm glad that the hostages are coming home. I just think this is just another example of a just total BB, just doing Donald Trump a solid.
Yeah.
That's just what this is. It's really.
Well, wait, is it BB? BB's not. I mean, how did the hostages end up coming home? I mean, that requires Hamas to.
I don't know. I mean, I can't unpack that live because I don't know how. There are a bunch of different ways this could go. It's hard to know. Can we talk about the TikTok thing? Am I the only one who cares about the TikTok thing? So, evidently, and I'm only getting the second hand because I am not on the TikToks myself. But the TikTokers are so mad about the possible impending ban / sale of TikTok that they are fleeing to Red Note, which is the actual literal Chinese Communist Party social platform. And we are being told that they're just all getting radicalized. They're getting radicalized by the terrible, the fascist government, by which they mean Joe Biden, trying to shut down their speech, and they're really learning some things about how great China is. And I guess I just give up on humanity, and I don't really know what else to say about that. But
my favorite part about that
idiots,
assessment, as though you hadn't already given up on humanity, as though you've just this is the moment. This is the moment JVL gave up.
Maybe the teens will save us. Maybe the teens will save us. Nope, turns out not. Teens are just as bad as the rest of us.
Let me read to you from somebody on Blue Sky. I'm not going to out her because I don't want to destroy her. Her mentions. I don't know how many of y'all are watching the migration of American TikTokers to Red Note, but it's fascinating. About 48 hours ago, American TikTokers, incensed by the upcoming ban and the gloating of Zuck Musk about people returning to their platforms, decided that they were Americans and no one was going to tell them what to do. So they downloaded Red Note, a Chinese social media app. The TikTok community decided they'd rather sit naked on a hot grill than ever watch a single Instagram reel. And they don't buy Congress's excuse of data security for the ban. So by the millions, they've been signing up to Red Note and volunteering their data directly to China. Please be aware, Red Note is in Mandarin. All servers are in China. It's a female-dominated social media platform, sort of a cross between Pinterest and TikTok, that's mostly used by Chinese folks to get restaurant recs and beauty tips. Americans started flooding in, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, I just, here's another from this TikToker. The Americans are so touched by how kind, welcoming, and generous the Red Note users have been with their time and hospitality. So Americans started diving into actual Red Note content, and they're confused because the U.S. government spent 30 years
because it's
telling
in
us
Mandarin.
how horrible China is, but their groceries are cheap and high quality and plentiful. They're eating lobster and crab on a Monday at lunch, not an anniversary dinner. Their jobs provide incredible, varied, healthy lunches and an hour to eat them. Their street style and fashion is impeccable. Their health care is provided. Their public transport is cheap, clean, and widely available. One big thing on Red Note is getting recommendations on where to eat breakfast, which can be had for $1. Americans are like, OMG, we're the poor ones. And I just want to fucking blow it all up.
Was that Taylor Lorenz? Is that Taylor Lorenz?
That's not Taylor
Okay.
Lorenz.
She was doing basically the same shtick. Yeah, so Peter Hamby and I talked about this a lot yesterday. He talked about it a lot. Peter has a lot of thoughts on this. So, it's a rare situation where I couldn't get a word in edgewise. I was the Sarah of that conversation. So my two cents are, the mindset, there is this mindset like where we treat everybody. I don't know when our standards lowered, circling us back to the first conversation about Pete Hegseth and how, Pete Hegseth is worried that the women are lowering the standards of the military, and all the Democratic senators are like, actually, you're lowering the standard for the Secretary of Defense. We've lowered our expectations for humans to be able to read we have to backfill rationales for them. I think it's the only way to explain how our stupidest American could be elected president 2 times. So now we're doing it again. We're backfilling rationales for the young people that have decided that you can't blame them. They're on this great app, and they like it, and they think it's fun, and they think that they're getting the real truth from it when they follow people like Soupy and the Hodge twins and Jackson 420, and they're telling them what's really happening in the world, and it's not intermediated by the corporate media, and they're enjoying this platform. And then the government, which says that we're the free country, it's the free country government that's like, nope, I got to take this away from you because you're just getting a little too close to the truth. How can you blame them for being upset and thinking that that it's the Americans that are fascists? My answer to that rhetorical question is I can blame them because it is the R word, which we can say again right now, if you want to think that the Chinese are really the people that respect your free expression, and that there's no risk at all to letting a Chinese run algorithm determine what you see and have it be a total black box. So we don't know why certain young Americans are seeing things that they're seeing, and it's not intermediated at all by any gatekeepers, and there's no fact checking, and there's no truth, and we're just at the behest of our greatest geopolitical foe, who also has a total crackdown on all freedom in their country. That just seems obviously bad. And if people cannot understand why it would be obviously bad for us to give that kind of power to the CCP, then they're probably too stupid to engage in the political process in a way that is, net beneficial to society. So I get it. I get why a 17-year-old might be mad at the government over this, but we should be able to explain to them why this is bad, and we should be able to find an American company that can give them an app that turns their brain into tom yum soup. It doesn't feel like it's that great. It's like that great of a technology.
How
about Elon?
Yeah,
How about
Elon's already
Tesla?
doing that. Elon's already doing that. The Instagram Reels. All right, well, maybe that's not quite as whatever. Maybe they don't like the interface as much as the TikTok interface, but trust me, you can still make yourself stupid on Instagram Reels and see pictures of shirtless boys.
No, but isn't Elon saying he's going to buy TikTok now?
There's a little like, well, maybe I'll buy TikTok.
Yeah, I heard that wasn't true, but
you know,
Mr. Wonderful,
it'd be perfect. It would be perfect if that's what we got. Sarah, would you like to burn these people to the ground? Because I am not a like, yay, team capitalism person, but I don't understand how you can be that dumb to not understand what like the Chinese Communist government is all about.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do 16-year-olds not understand much about our greatest geopolitical foe? Like, I don't know.
I grew up in the Cold War. I feel like I had a pretty good grasp on, Alexander Solzhenitsyn and Mikhail Gorbachev and all that stuff, because it was in the air everywhere.
Sure.
Like, it was not hard to understand that the Ruskies were bad.
Because there were 3 main news channels, no cable, and a bunch of newspapers, and there were gatekeepers, and now it's all different, my friend. Information has been democratized, and so we are now, we are getting democracy good and hard. And
Kent Brockman warned us about this.
So I don't know. Look, the kids have a toy, and everything else they have is made in China. All their other toys are made in China. And like, they don't know. Now this is where adults can be useful, but it is difficult, I think, when, let's say, the president of the United States sends very mixed signals about China. He says China's bad. Also, let's invite Xi to have a place of honor at the inauguration. Musk, very friendly with China. Very pro-China. Big market over in China. Lots of American companies want in on it, get in on it. They own a fair amount of our debt. And so I agree. Obviously, I agree. Like, they're just putting Chinese spyware on their phones. But this is part of a brave new world that we are in. And if we can't educate people about why you don't want to voluntarily give all your information to a country that is our greatest strategic foe, like, I think that's a failure of the class of people who need to do the educating, not the kids.
I'll tell you one thing that the teens have right about the superiority of the Chinese system over our system. They haven't put their stupidest citizen in charge of the entire country 2 times. So there's something to be said for that. Maybe there are some weaknesses in the American system that should be explored while you're scrolling through Xinjiang restaurant recommendations or Guangzhou beauty tips over on Red Note.
Guys, I just realized this is our last show of the Biden administration. And the next time the 3 of us sit down together, Donald Trump will be the actual sitting president of the United States.
Are we? I think he's the president already. Are we sure that he's not? I don't. I take your point, but
I mean, I guess we have arrived at a point where all the conspiracy theories of early 2021 are now true, right? All the people are like, actually, Trump is the real president. Yeah, well, here we are. Trump is already the real president. He is actually in charge.
When I was at that Deal Book thing, I remember Jason Miller was talking about how all the world leaders were like coming to Mar-a-Lago. Like, everybody was just making their journey, like Kevin McCarthy did back then, to resurrect him. But they all like, and somebody said at the thing, like, well, aren't we just supposed to have one president at a time? And he kind of balked. He was kind of like, yeah, well, they know what's coming.
We do have one president at a time. It's Trump. We gave him an extra 2 months.
Yeah, well, then look, I'm gonna do the focus group pod with Evan Osnos today, who is Biden's official.
About Biden.
Yeah,
no.
I'm gonna do one last show.
Who could possibly want to listen to that?
I'm gonna do a Biden legacy episode.
Just keep sharp objects away from you and me when you listen to that episode. I put me in a padded room when I listened to that focus group podcast.
Yeah, it's not great. It's not great, but we're going to do a Biden legacy episode in part because we are going to turn the page to Trump, obviously, in the coming weeks. But I can't believe we have to do this again.
I can't believe it either. I got to tell you, I know it's been a good long show, but I'm just on this emotional roller coaster where like last week I was like kind of I wasn't feeling good. Like I was feeling bad about society and about everything, but I was like, you know what? Okay. I'm a big boy. I'm going to have a job. I'm going to do a job and it's going to be a little bit unpleasant and at times and some bad stuff's going to happen to people, but I can do this. I can focus. I can bear down. I can live in this world. And yesterday I was just like, I don't know if I can do this. I'm just really like, I feel like I'm an emotional wreck over it. It's like, we really have to do this. We're going to do it. He's going to stand up there and do the hand and the oligarchs are going to be with him and Obama's going to be giggling. And we're just doing
serious
this.
Question. Very serious, quick prediction, because we will be together after the inauguration. Is his inauguration speech going to be American carnage again?
No.
Like it's us versus them. It's time to settle all accounts, or is it going to be conciliatory unity? And he'll do the settle all accounts the night before.
Yeah, neither.
No. Settle all accounts the night before at the basketball arena. Conciliatory unity, and have everybody be like, "Well, look, this is Donald Trump.
Today
wants to unite
is the day
country.
Donald Trump finally became president." Right?
Can I just make a prediction?
What do you think it'll be, Sarah?
I think he's going to lean hard on the mandate. That like it's going to be about the last 4 years, what a disaster they were, and how the American people knew what was up, and he'll probably even, if not say it outright, say like, I won before. Americans understood that. Now we're here again. They treated me very badly, but we're going to get America back on track after the disastrous Joe Biden years. I think it's going to be something in that vein.
So
can I wait? Hold on, but I want go ahead. Go ahead.
I can't do it.
No, I just want to ask, because I think that is absolutely possible. The idea that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris would alibi all of this and make it all seem perfectly normal by sitting there and participating in it, if that's what comes to pass, it will make me go insane.
Are we not going insane? That was kind of the point that I was bringing
Fair enough.
up. Aren't we all going insane? I think I'm going insane.
Can I try to give you guys the optimistic spin on this?
Please, because I want to hear the optimistic spin, but I want to preface it by saying I was just thinking in my brain before you said the optimistic spin. I was like, the worst part of where we are is that there's nothing that's good. It can't be good, because if he does the right thing, then people have to like, see, look at that. He's a businessman, he's smart, and if he fucks everything up, then there's pain and suffering. There's nothing. There's no optimism. So try to break that.
I'd be happy to be wrong. I'd be happy to be wrong.
Yeah, sure. But give me some optimism, Sarah.
Go ahead,
try
Sarah.
to break through that.
Well, actually, I'm sorry, Tim, but you know what's going to happen?
What?
Both those things. And it's just going to come from different people. Here's the optimistic part of it. And I felt this during the Hegseth nomination, which is I was filled with a feeling I'd forgotten a little bit, which is not forgotten, but like deep certainty that I and us are in the moral right. Like, they can all sit there and do their kabuki theater, but I watch it and go, this guy is supremely unqualified. And to your point before about the clown show and like I think that we are about to enter the part. This interregnum has been extremely difficult. I know how you feel. I know what you say. Like, it's hard to think we're going to do it for another 4 years, but I bet that it is not as hard as this period between the election and Donald Trump, where Donald Trump gets to exist. He's at the highest approval rating he's been at in his entire career as a politician. Why is that? Because in this point, people are so soured on Joe Biden, and he is nowhere to be seen. And when he does pop up, it's to say something insane like he would have won the election if he'd kept running. And they get to pin all their hopes and dreams on Donald Trump. But Donald Trump has to govern. And Donald Trump is lousy at governing, and he's hired a clown car of people to come along with him and govern. The people who put the guardrails on him last time aren't there. And we're going to get Bannon versus Elon versus a bunch of, we're going to see them, and the American people are going to see them. And our job is to not do what the great failure of the last 4 years was, which was to have no ability to communicate about how dangerous and bad it all is. When Americans have to be faced with the choice that they made, somebody's got to be there to explain why it's bad. And that's our job, right? That's our job. And Democrats are going to have to figure out,
Waving a little flag.
Good luck, America.
Let Scott Jennings defend the next 4 years of Trump. He's going to enjoy that a lot less than he's enjoyed the victory lap in this last little bit here.
Okay. I hope you're right, because it has been a shitty 2 months. I'll tell you that.
See you guys on the flip side of the new era.
Bye.